Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual public information meeting for project number 63-728, which involves the Bulkeley Bridge aesthetic lighting in the city of Hartford and town of East Hartford. Next slide, please. My name is Tracy Bray, and I work in the DOT Major Structures Unit, and I am the project manager. My contact information is provided below. You can ask questions or share comments either through the project email address and phone number or by contacting me directly. Next slide, please. For those of us joining tonight who would like to use closed captioning or non-English translation options, Louis Alfonso, the DOT project engineer, will describe how to change the Zoom settings.
Thank you, Tracy. Para los que se encuentran hoy en Zoom, la opción de tener subtítulos está disponible. Para usarlo, oprima el botón que dice Show Captions Button o el botón que dice CC en la parte baja de la pantalla. Después, oprima el botón que dice Speaking Language Button y seleccione su lenguaje preferido. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Louis. The agenda for tonight's meeting includes an introduction to the project team. Then the technical portion of the project will be presented, describing the purpose and need of the project, proposed lighting scheme, and installation methods and benefits and impacts associated with the project. Lastly, we'll have a live Q&A session during which we will provide responses to your comments and questions. Next slide, please. There are 3 ways you can communicate with us during the live question and answer session. You can submit questions and comments via email at DOT, capital P R O J E C T 0063-0728 at ct.gov. You can also call 860-594-2020 and leave a voicemail. When leaving a voicemail, please reference project number 63-728. And lastly, if you've joined through Zoom, you can type your questions or comments into the Q&A box. This function is only available during tonight's meeting. You may enter your questions and comments at any time during the meeting. At the end of the presentation, the project team will read the questions and provide responses. We'll walk through how to use this function in the next slide. After the meeting, comments and questions can be submitted still via email or phone using the email address and phone number shown on this slide. The comment period will be open through February 27th, 2024. This contact information, as well as the meeting minutes and a link to the recording of tonight's meeting, will be available on the project webpage. The website URL is https://portal/capital D capital O, capital T, capital HARTFORD 63-728. Next slide, please. To use the Zoom Q&A function, select the Q&A tool at the bottom of the Zoom webinar window, as shown by number 1 in the green box on this slide. Next step, the Q&A window will open as seen on the right. Then please type your question into the text box and click enter. If you are an audio-only participant, please dial *9 to raise and lower your hand, and we will call on you to speak. Next slide, please. As part of Title VI, your civil rights, no person shall on the basis of race, color, or national origin be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. A link to the DOT's Office of Equity page, which has more information regarding your civil rights, is provided on this slide. We also have a QR code and a link on the slide to a voluntary survey where you can rate the timing, information provided, and accessibility of tonight's meeting. Your feedback is greatly appreciated as it will help us improve our approach for future meetings. Next slide, please. I'm going to turn this back over to Luis Alfonso.
Thank you, Tracy. I will read the first paragraph in English, and then I will read the first paragraph in Spanish. In English, the Connecticut Department of Transportation operates its programs and services without regard to race, color, and national origin in accordance to Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Any person who believes she or he has been aggrieved by any unlawful discriminatory practice under Title VI may file a complaint with the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Next slide, please. El Departamento de Transporte de Connecticut se compromete a asegurar que ninguna persona sea excluida de participar en o le sean negados los beneficios de sus servicios de transporte, basándose en la raza, color de o país de origen de la persona protegida por el Título 6 de la Ley de los Derechos Civiles. Si a usted le parece que ha sido objeto de discriminación en lo que corresponde al Título 6, puede presentar una queja al Departamento de Transporte de Connecticut. Next slide, and back to you, Tracy.
Alrighty, thank you, Louis. So to introduce the project team from the Connecticut Department of Transportation, we're led in the Bridge Division by Bartholomew P. Sweeney. He is the Division Chief of Bridges. And then we have Bao Trung, Principal Engineer of a major bridge unit. And there's me, Tracy Bray, Supervising Engineer, and Luis Alfonso, who just spoke, who is the Project Engineer. Then we have Clough Harbor and Associates, who is the Consultant Design Engineer preparing the plans and contract documents for this project. From Clough Harbor, or CHA, we have Chad Prokosky, the Lead Engineer, who will be giving the presentation, the technical portion of the presentation in a few minutes. And we also have Nathan Loganathan, the Design Engineer from CHA. And then we also have their sub-consultant lighting designer, the lighting practice, on the call as well. We have Thomas Bergeron, the lead lighting designer, and then there's also Tammy Wu, lighting designer. Next slide, please. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Chad Prokosky to go through the technical portion of the presentation and to show you all the proposed lighting scheme for the Bulkeley Bridge. All you, Chad.
Thank you, Tracy. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Chad Prokosky. I am a structural engineer at PE in the state of Connecticut. I work for CHA, specialty in bridge construction and design, augmented by the lighting practice, as Tracy indicated, our lead design consultant to assist us along the way. The Bulkeley Bridge is located in the center of the screen here with the Connecticut River running north and south, the city of Hartford to the left side or the west, in the town of East Hartford to the right side of the screen or the east. The Bulkeley Bridge carries I-84 westbound and eastbound, which is located again in the middle of the screen. And please note the I-91 north and southbound located on the left side of the screen or the left side of the Connecticut River. Some interesting facts of the Bulkeley Bridge. So the Bulkeley Bridge was originally constructed in 1906. It was built after the 1895 original bridge was burnt down after a major fire in the city. It was reconstructed of a stone masonry and reinforced concrete arch. Original construction was solely stone masonry, as shown in the original construction photo to the right. In 1906, it cost $3 million and is still currently the most expensive bridge in the state of Connecticut when considering escalation to present day. In 1964, the bridge was widened to the north, where reinforced concrete was used to extend the bridge again to the north, upstream of the Connecticut River, to provide more geometry for roadway traffic. It is one of, if not the oldest structures in the interstate system, and in fact is the largest stone masonry arch bridge by surface area in the world. The bridge is approximately 1,175 feet long and currently 121 feet wide. The purpose of this project is to provide a long-term, cost-effective aesthetic lighting system to memorialize the significance of the Bulkeley Bridge. Our goal is to provide a context-sensitive lighting scheme with a low initial construction cost that considers the environments at this location, providing a weatherproof system with an ease of access for future maintenance. Currently on the bridge, there are overhead luminaire lights at the median that help provide light during the nighttime for vehicle traffic. There's a sidewalk on the south side of the bridge for pedestrian access where there currently is no lighting. There was aesthetic lighting added in 2008 to memorialize the 100th year celebration of the Bulkeley Bridge. This was a temporary short-term solution to provide illumination to the bridge during that 100th year celebration. Currently, they do not work and need to be replaced. The lighting system proposed for this project will focus on the outside faces of the bridge on the upstream and downstream side, focusing on the archways, the pier noses, and illuminating the entire outside face. As shown here in a photographic rendering, this is what the bridge is anticipated to look like upon completion of the project. Please be aware on the right side of the screen, there is a fixture labeled A, which will be installed at the upper portions of the bridge and cascaded down to the face of the archways. This is a plan view showing the, again, Bulkeley Bridge. The red line work shown on the top and bottom portion of the bridge would be the conduits to energize or generate light to the fixtures. The yellow ovals are shown as the approximate locations of where the fixtures would be mounted. Please also note on the right side in the lower right corner in the town of East Hartford is where the anticipated power cabinet will be installed to provide power and service to this bridge. Maintenance considerations. When choosing the proposed lighting system, we selected an LED energy efficient system for all fixtures. These products maintain 70% of their initial lumen during the lifetime of its service, approximately 80,000 hours. As I noted earlier, the fixtures will be mounted near the upper portion of the bridge to consider the flooding condition that can occur during springtime in particular at the Bulkeley Bridge. They'll be approximately located 5 feet below the top of the concrete barrier wall or parapet and above the top of the crown to, again, limit the potential for water intrusion. Maintenance will be performed from the roadway level rather than from any of the access in the river, which would provide an easier ability to ensure that the system is fully functioning. The system will be owned and maintained by the State of Connecticut Department of Transportation. The anticipated project impacts. There are no anticipated impacts on the right-of-way or utilities at this site. However, there will be temporary traffic impacts during the construction phase. We're anticipating short-term ramp closures at I-91 southbound at exit 30 and I-84 westbound at exit 51 during short periods while the contractor would be installing both the conduits and the fixture at the bridge. These are short-term off-peak closures likely to occur during the nighttime with a duration of potentially 1 or 2 nights for each location. Pedestrian impacts. The south side, as noted, has a sidewalk. During the entire construction duration along the south side of the bridge, the sidewalk will be closed for pedestrians at all times while the work is being performed. There will be adequate signage to detour the pedestrian traffic to the next adjacent structure, the Founders Bridge, just to the south. The Connecticut River is one of the most important migratory corridors with drowningest fish in eastern North America. Limiting and preventing environmental impacts was a major consideration when providing a design for this site. New science has shown excessive artificial lighting at night has the potential to disrupt the migration, feeding, and other aquatic ecologic functions of fish and aquatic organisms. Our team has chosen both a color and a color temperature to promote and reduce any concerns with that potential. The chosen light bandwidth is 2700 Kelvin, which will appear as a warm white light. To further reduce any impacts to the environment, all construction is expected to be performed from the roadway. This graphic is showing the southbound exit 30 detour on I-91. The detour path would be taking exit 32 to Market Street, back to I-91 southbound to Morgan Street, and then entering I-84 with the eastbound ramp. This graphic is showing the I-84 westbound to exit 51 detour. The detour route would again now take exit 50 to Market Street, Talcott Street rather, Columbus Boulevard, to Grove Street, back on the I-91 northbound. Schedule and construction costs. At this time, I'd like to turn it back over to Tracy Bray. Tracy?
Thank you, Chad. So at this point, we anticipate that advertising for construction will occur this summer, 2024, and the start of construction will happen late fall 2024. The goal is to have this new lighting system installed and functioning by spring 2025, really April 2025. The estimated construction cost at this point is $1.2 million, and this will use 100% state funds to pay for the cost. So before we start the Q&A session, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to attend tonight's meeting. And hopefully you're all safe at home and didn't have much of an impact with the snowstorm today. We'd also like to thank Doug Wilson, the town engineer from East Hartford, for joining us tonight and representing the East Hartford side. So the Bulkeley Bridge is already a beautiful structure and an important connection between Hartford and East Hartford. We're really excited to add this lighting to enhance the beautiful stonework and add to the already beautiful recreational areas that have been created along both sides of the Connecticut River. We hope you have found the presentation informative, and we appreciate any questions or comments from you at this point. Thank you.
Tracy, I see a question here. I can read it.
Sounds good.
Okay, the question's from, I apologize if I mispronounce your name here. The question is from Demetrius. Has lighting been considered along the width of the arches under the bridge?
So,
That's a great
thank you.
question. Oh, go ahead,
Yes,
Trace.
thank you for that first question. It is a great question. So we looked at a few different options and had looked at that one. Primarily, the concern is just maintenance of this lighting system in the future. The access for DOT's maintenance staff, because this will be maintained going forward by the Department of Transportation. So we wanted to make sure that they would be able to easily access these lights and do any repairs. If we install them on the underside and the arches, then you need a boat to get there, or you need a snooper to reach. And that would lead to more lane closures on I-84. And we wanted to try to minimize the number of lane closures and time spent out there to improve safety for both the traveling public and for our maintenance staff. And then also, as Chad mentioned, the artificial light being directed into the water may have some negative impacts on fish behavior in the water. So we'll need to do additional coordination with OEP. But to your point, we can certainly consider lighting the arches further as we get further along into design.
All right, thank you, Tracy. I see there is another question from Jackie. Jackie M. I will read Jackie's M question. Okay, here we go. Would you consider installing lights that could change colors for special occasions? I can start off responding to that question, Jackie's question. So the intent of this project is to celebrate the Bulkeley Bridge as noted. It is also intended to provide a long-term, cost-effective lighting scheme. Current policy and intent on this project is to provide a monochrome lighting to help identify the structure at night and to provide a dramatic effect that currently does not exist. The current policy with the department is to maintain a monochrome color, which is what this project will adhere to.
Yes, and just to add to Chad's response yet again, one of the factors in determining the lighting system and what we were going to do on the bridge was future maintenance of this. And the multicolored light system that's on the Pearl Harbor Memorial Bridge has required a lot of maintenance. And as I mentioned before, with the maintenance, that means more lane closures, more disruptions to traffic. And so that's another reason why we're keeping it to just one light color at this time. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. I see another question from Grant B. Okay, Grant, I'm going to read your question now. Thank you for the presentation. While the standard lighting will be set at 2700 Kelvin, will the system have multicolor functionality for holidays and or special events? For example, the bridge could be lit up green for St. Patrick's Day or blue if the Yukon Huskies win a major game. I feel as though this question was already answered with the previous question. Again, great feedback, and that's a great idea. I think at this time, it's understood that this bridge will be lit with a single monochrome color. Another question, Mary. Have you considered the impact on migratory birds? Also, How did you choose the lighting level, especially with LEDs, which are so bright? The color spectrum chosen seems right if you consider dark skies recommendations. Is there a way to minimize environmental impacts? Great question, Mary. I will attempt to answer as best I can, and I'm going to lean on my teammate here, Tom Bergeron, who is representing the lighting design, to further explain how the lighting of these LED fixtures can be fine-tuned to provide the effect that we are looking for. So, as I kind of just alluded to, these lighting fixtures will be purposefully chosen for this location, spaced out exactly in a manner for which it will cascade and provide a dramatic impact and effect to illuminate the bridge and wash the outside faces of the archways. In terms of migratory birds, there is coordination going on with the regulatory agencies. That is ongoing. We are not aware of any migratory birds that nest, roost, or otherwise live underneath the bridge. But again, further coordination will be continued moving forward. At this time, let me turn it to Tom. Tom, are you still present?
Yes.
Tom, can you explain a little bit more about how we can minimize any dark sky concerns, or how to fine tune potentially these fixtures to provide the impact and dramatic effect that we're looking for while reducing and minimizing the potential environmental impacts?
Right. In order to minimize dark sky, the main solution for lighting the sides of the bridge are all positioned in a downward direction facing towards the water. This will allow it to not be seen into the sky, will be dark sky compliant, and will provide even illumination across the front.
Thank you, Tom. I do not see any further questions.
Chad, would you please go back to the previous slide to show, in case anyone wants to reach out by email or phone? We'll just hang on for a few more minutes just to give you guys time to think. And if you have any comments or questions that come up, please just add them in the chat and we'll respond. Okay, Well, in closing, we've shared the lighting scheme and some of the proposed plans with the town of East Hartford and the city of Hartford. I know the town of East Hartford has reviewed the proposed lighting scheme and are generally in agreement. So if no other questions or comments, I think we'll wrap up this meeting and hope you all enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you again for attending.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Have a great
you.
evening. Bye bye.